Hi everyone, it's Kara here from Boho Berry, and I am back at long last with one of my mini tip Monday videos. And today's video is actually all about faux calligraphy. Now, faux calligraphy is a technique that I use in my bullet journal quite often, and I get asked all the time, how do I use that? What pen am I using? A lot of people think that it's actually calligraphy, which I've been dabbling a little bit in actual calligraphy for a little while now. I don't really feel 100% comfortable with teaching or sharing about that a whole lot yet. But one thing that I have done a lot and I feel very, very comfortable with is this style of faux calligraphy. Now, faux calligraphy is something that's done just with any regular pen that you have laying around. Today, I'm using my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen in S. The S is a 0.3 millimeter tip. It's just a little felt tip that you can see here. And this is the pen that I actually use to write with on a regular basis in my bullet journal. So it's what I'm most comfortable with. It's what I do my faux calligraphy in my bullet journal with as well. So I thought I'd use that today to show you how that works. And then also I'm using my Rhodia dot pad. Now this dot pad is the same ruling that is in my bullet journal. So these dots are 5 millimeters apart, just like in my Leuchtturm bullet journal notebook. So I like to practice on this paper. This paper is awesome for sketching. It's awesome for doing any kind of writing, things like that, where you need a faint guideline, but you don't really want hard lines on the page. So that's it for supplies. And then as far as technique goes, I'm just going to kind of dive right in and show you. The reason this is called faux calligraphy is because traditionally the way that calligraphy works, let me show you with an actual dip pen. This is one of my favorite dip pens. It's a wood oblique holder, and you'll see the nib here. And the way the nib works is actually when you're writing with your calligraphy pen, you're going up in a thin line, and then when you come down, watch how those tines spread. You see those spreading? So when you come down, you press a little bit harder and it makes a thicker line as you come down. So in traditional calligraphy, if I was writing like this, I would come down and press harder across that thicker spot, go up, press lightly, press harder coming down. Same here with the A. I would press lightly going up, press harder going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and up. So that is how a traditional calligraphy pen or dip pen would work. And there's a huge variety of these out there if you want to give actual calligraphy a try. The one I started out with was actually a gift from my friend Kim over at Tiny Ray of Sunshine, and it's this black plastic speedball nib holder. So that one was really fun. It kind of gave me an idea of how dip pens work, and then I kind of fell in love with it and went out and bought a whole set of different holders and nibs and all that sort of stuff to play with. But that'll be another video for another day. Today I'm going to show you how we can replicate that look with just your regular old everyday pen, which is what I do in my bullet journal on a regular basis. So I'm going to start out first with just a word. Let's do love, because that's nice and simple. So all I do is just write in my regular cursive, but I write a little bit wider than I normally would. There we go, love. And then remember how I showed you with the dip pen, how when you come down you press harder so it makes a thicker line. So all we're going to do is replicate that. So anywhere that I went up, I'm going to leave it alone. Where I go down, I'm going to draw a parallel line to that downward mark. I went up, came down, went up, came down, went up, came down. And you could actually leave it just like this. I actually do this quite often where I'll leave it without filling it in. But if you want to make it look more like traditional calligraphy, all you do is just come back in and color in where you drew those lines. And then it looks just like traditional calligraphy. So you can do this large like I did here, big and loopy. You could do it small. And then in that case you would just barely thicken those down strokes. And it just kind of adds a little pop to your words. So it's not just this plain little cursive word, it actually adds kind of some dimension and everything to it as well. So you can use that technique on any word, any doodle, anything you're doing. If you want to make it look like you were using a dip pen or a calligraphy pen, you can do that. You can also do it with your regular handwriting. For example, let's do July. So here with the word July, I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to thicken up everywhere I went with a downstroke. So it doesn't have to be cursive. It can be any handwriting that you want to do. Just thicken up those downstrokes, and that's the faux calligraphy technique. What I like to do is just fill up a whole page with all of my different letters. So it's a fun way to practice. Like I'll just do my capital A, capital B. I'm filming this at a weird angle, so I apologize if I'm a little shaky. Capital C, capital D, and so on. And then you just go back in and have fun with it. So here on the A, I went sideways, I went down, so I'm going to thicken up that line. I went up, I went down, so I'm going to thicken that line and shade it in. Here I went up and down. And sometimes I'll draw out that whole line first. Other times I'll just come in and just kind of sketch it in. Sometimes I kind of like that little choppy look. It just adds kind of a different feel to the letters. So again, anywhere that you have a downstroke, like this D is kind of fun. The way I do my D's, I end up with that, and then it loops around, and then I have another little downstroke here. So that's fun. And then same thing with the lowercase letters. I'll go in and just kind of play around with them. There's my A, B, C, D. And then again, just kind of trace over it. Don't touch the paper, but trace over it in the air anywhere that you're going up. And then when you feel yourself starting to come back down, that's where you're going to draw your downward line and fill it in. And then we're going up again and then down. And sometimes, like I did with that A, you kind of have to bring it over a little bit and then down so that you get that full thick line as if you were actually working with a dip pen. Let me see if I have another example of that. On the D I do. So let me get there. Here's our C, there's our D, and then again, what I did there, let me bring this closer so you can see, is I brought that line out just a little bit like that, and then brought it down, and then fill it in. So you get that nice squared top up there at the top as if you were doing actual calligraphy. So that's it for my faux calligraphy little mini lesson for you all. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's super short, but that's kind of what Mini Tip Mondays are all about. Again, these are the materials that I'm using, but you really can do this with absolutely any pen and paper that you have laying around. It's really fun to play around with, kind of add some dimension to your letters when you're bullet journaling or whatever else you're doing. If you're designing a card or you want to kind of spruce up someone's name in a letter that you're writing or anything along those lines, there's so many uses for this. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit. If you have any questions, as always, leave those in the comments below and I will be absolutely happy to answer all of them. That's it for today. I'll look forward to seeing you all on Friday. Bye.